How can a foreclosure process be temporarily stalled? Now, how can you temporarily stall a foreclosure? We're going to cover that in this video, and you stick around to the very end. We're going to show you exactly how this works, but more importantly, we're going to show you how you can actually use this to your advantage. And I've got some little, I don't know, what did my daughter call these things? Little prizes throughout the whole process. She loves getting this slime, and they got all the little knickknacks. This is like adult slime, if you will, with little prizes throughout. So stick around for that, and we'll show you that. Obviously, the thumbs up and questions you have. You know, I got a lot of stuff on this, so let me jump right into this right off the bat. Let's just talk about tax liens and tax deeds. You cannot stop a tax deed or a tax lien foreclosure. Only thing you can do is file bankruptcy. But that can't, I mean, if it's a deed foreclosure and it went to the sale and the deed foreclosure, or somebody bought it at the deed foreclosure, you can't stall it after that. Now, I know there's somebody, oh, in this state it says that on the full moon, whatever. Okay, it's gone to foreclosure. The act of putting your hand up being sold is it. Now I'm just clearing title. Okay, you cannot delay that. I'm just telling you right now. Okay, that's the power of a tax deed sale. Now, alternatively, if I'm buying a tax lien certificate and I start the foreclosure process, during that foreclosure process, if they say bankruptcy, that could delay the foreclosure process, but it will not eliminate your position. They can't say, oh, we ran into some tough times, we're filing Chapter 7, which eliminates all debts and encumbrances. It ain't gonna eliminate the taxes, okay? It's amazing how many times I get this question, can a bankruptcy eliminate a tax liens or a tax deed certificate? And the answer is absolutely not. You can't do that. So there's that. You know, if somebody's trying to save their home, this isn't the same thing as a bank foreclosure on this. Again, the chances of me getting a property that the owner is living in the property, they just don't exist. I just never see those with my students. I never see them with my own deal. Usually it's a property that is a rental property, or there's, you know, somebody's deceased and they're no longer available to make that happen. You know, under the real estate settlement procedures, a borrower can submit what's called a complete loan modification, but we don't have a loan on this property. There is no loan. They either pay the taxes or not. You know, again, I talk about filing bankruptcy. There's Chapter 7, 13. You know, these are the different ways that they can slow that down, but it's not going to eliminate your position. If they file bankruptcy during the redemption period, they might be able to slow it down. But if I go to a tax deed sale, let's just say in the state of California, top of mind, once you put your hand up and they say sold, their time is up. They've had 5 years to resolve this and go from there. You know, there's not anything that they can do. Really what's happening is at that point, let's use California for that example, that if I buy a property at a sale in California, in all reality, I'm just trying to clear title on that. So what I'm gonna do in that situation is I do wanna get a hold of these people and say, hey, what's going on? I'm gonna go ahead and have to clear title on this thing. It would be a lot easier if you cooperated. What do you mean cooperate? Well, you have to sign the property over to me. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to go through the judicial process of clearing title, uncloud the title, you know, clear the title, clean the title, whatever they wanna call it. Now, I'm not gonna do that. Okay, it's just gonna take me a little longer, but it's not gonna stop the process. In that case, I would say to the former homeowner, if you do wanna do that, you know, maybe I will pay you a little money to go ahead and you know, sign over the deed to me in lieu of, they call it deed in lieu of, on that will help out. And again, I've got a whole brand new course on this. You know, just go down to the bio down below, or whatever they call that in the description. It says higginsmethod.com. I got a free course for you on that. So that's some of the other stuff that you have on it. You know, again, there's short sales that can eliminate this, but this is involved if there's a borrower involved on it, so you're not going to really be calling that. There's a beneficial foreclosure, which is relevant because a beneficial foreclosure has a long-lasting impact on the borrower's credit. So if somebody says, you know, again, if it's a tax deed situation, this is not affecting their credit. But for those of you that get out there and you start lending some of your money out as a primary lender or a private lending source, and you put the property up as collateral on that, and you have to go foreclose on the property, you might want to say, listen, rather than me foreclosing, just sign the property over. They don't get dinged against their credit. You know, it depends on what you're looking at. All of these are good ways to make it happen, but you have to know what you're doing with all of this. The beautiful thing about tax deeds and tax liens, there is no ambiguity. If I go into a tax lien foreclosure, I am sending notifications out to that property owner. They have a certain prescribed amount of time to pay those off. If they do not come in within that prescribed amount of time, I end up with the property. There's no saving it. If I buy a tax deed at a tax deed sale, that's done. That's it. The county has already sent out notification. The county has already done the legal procedures in order to foreclose. Me putting my hand up and giving them money, this is important, giving them money, it's done. They can't go, oh, wait, one more second. It's not going to happen. Now, I just said something really important. If I buy a tax deed at a tax deed sale, and I'm the successful bidder, but I don't have to put my money in until the afternoon, so I walk to the bank to get the money, and they come in and redeem before I come back and pay for that deed, I just lost. So you want to make sure your money's in order. Now, what are the odds of this person coming in? They've been notified for 5 years, and that gap between when you bid on the property and when you went to the bank, they happen to come in. Pretty slim. But I actually have seen it happen, okay? So again, just be prepared. There was a property that was it was like a commercial piece of property. We had bought for $113,000. We did not think we were going to get this property. It was a nice commercial piece of property. We went down to the bank to get it. By the time we got back, we got a phone call from the county and said, you're not going to believe this, but this person redeemed. And we're like, you know, womp, womp, womp. We didn't believe that that would ever happen. So those are some of the things that you need to look at. You know, delaying a foreclosure really isn't an option when it comes to tax lien certificates or tax deeds. With tax lien certificates, the only way you can delay the actual foreclosure is if the property owner files bankruptcy. The only way you can stop the foreclosure is if they pay the lien plus the interest rate, period, end of story. Once it goes to a tax deed sale, all bets are off, unless it's a tax deed sale that has a redemption period, like for instance in Georgia or Texas. So if they say, hey, yeah, you can come redeem, but you have to pay how much we paid at the auction, plus the penalty, whatever that might be, 20% in Georgia and 25% in Texas, 50% the second year. So these are all the different ways that that can happen. Again, cross your T's, dot your I's, make sure you know what you're going. The beautiful thing about this is I've got a brand new course on this that we just put together. Go to higginsmethod.com. We talked about that earlier. Click on the link down below there. That's my gift to you. Good luck and happy hunting. We'll see you out there.